All right, it's been a while. I missed last week. So I'm going to try to record 2 videos today. And if I don't get the second one done today, then hopefully I can get it done before too long. But anyway, we'll just get right into it. Keepers of Fire, we're now on Chapter 9, The Red Peacock. Quick recap, last chapter, Dethar kidnapped the twins, Jero and Nias, and took them to Fire City, and he and the demon did some dark magic on them, and we will see the full effects of that spell later on in the story. Chapter 9, The Red Peacock. Atia clipped another stem of lavender and placed it in her basket. Row upon row of the purple bushes grew in the spacious field. The aromatic... I think I'm saying that right. The aromatic flowers were said to relieve stress. Atia had been outside for hours, cutting and clipping, breathing in as much of the soothing scent as she could while the hot summer sun bore down on her. 3 months ago, Jero and Nias were taken, she thought. I haven't felt happy or at peace in all that time. Our home has finally been broken. Mara misbehaves, Elise hardly speaks, Sapphira has lost all mirth, and the Senate is like a stone. Mavea! Atia groaned as she thought of her 15-year-old sister. Mavea's practically deified Loma. She even talks to Matthias. What is our family coming to? Atia shook her head angrily. Sapphira didn't seem to care that Mavea and Matthias were now friends. Yes, he had done them a great service, riding all that way for the medicine, and asking nothing in return. It was all for naught, anyway. Atia reasoned silently, cutting another stem. Jero and Nias were still taken. Even if he had saved them, that wouldn't erase what he did. Atia wondered if she was the only one who remembered Matthias' wanton behavior. Did family dignity mean nothing anymore? Was she the only Morren with a little pride? In Atia's opinion, Matthias had done no more than worm his way into their affections once again. He'll not find me so easily breached, Atia thought, frowning. So long as I keep hostile, the balance will hold, and he'll remain distant. Atia wondered now and then if she was being unfair. Matthias had seemed genuinely distraught when he returned to find the twins gone. Mavea claimed that he had actually grown quite angry when she explained what had happened, though not with her over a wasted trip. Atia couldn't afford to let herself believe he had changed, however. It was too risky, too dangerous. As Atia clipped another stem, she heard Mavea calling to her. "I'm in the garden!" Atia yelled back. Moments passed, and then... Atia? In the garden! Atia shouted, irritation building. Honestly, why couldn't people try looking instead of crying? Mavea's distant call sounded again. Throwing down her shears, growling in disgust, Atia marched up the path. As she approached, Mavea appeared, walking toward the gate, expression showing her obliviousness to Atia's exasperation. Sapphira's looking for you, Mavea stated. Is she? Atia was grimly amused. Did she not remember where I was? Mavea shrugged. You better hurry. She's been wanting you for some time now. What does she want me for? Mavea shrugged again. Not sure. Stone-faced, Atia jerked a thumb over her shoulder. I left the lavender back there. Tell Sapphira I'll be in soon. I can get it. Mavea was already unlatching the gate. You better go in. Lips tight, Atia nodded, waiting until Mavea had entered before stepping through the gate and latching it behind her. She marched stiffly to the house, anticipating a disappointment, as everything seemed to be now. She was surprised to find Sapphira wrapped in her finest shawl. Are you going out? Atia asked. Her bafflement increased when Sapphira smiled, a rare occurrence nowadays. I received a note from Master Houghton, she began. Leanne has gone to stay with her aunt in the Amora region, and they're short-handed at the inn. Sapphira's smile grew brighter. They've asked for you to help them. Atia's mouth dropped open. Work? At the inn? Sapphira laughed and nodded. Yes, they've asked specifically for you. What do you say? Yes, I would love to, Atia cried. When can I start? As soon as you're dressed, Sapphira replied. Atia didn't need to be told twice. Grinning, she darted for the stairs. Freedom at last. At last I'll be out of this dreary house. Master Houghton bustled them into his office as soon as they arrived. Please sit down, he said, gesturing to the chairs in front of his desk as he dropped into the one behind it. I must say, your promptness is a good sign. I sent that note hardly 2 hours ago, if it was that long. Sapphira smiled. We were pleased to receive it. Tamilda kept telling me we could manage without an extra hand here. Houghton sighed and gave both the visitors a knowing look. All it took was 2 days without Leanne to change her mind. Atia, you were the one I kept thinking about, and would you guess it? You were also the first Tamilda asked for. Atia blushed a bit and laughed nervously. Me? Houghton nodded. A right busy place this is. We need a tough, energetic helper who won't get worn off her feet by the day-to-day chores or the spontaneous crowds. Summer is a busy time for us. With the hot sun beating down on them, people come in for a drink more often than usual. We also receive the bulk of our traveling guests during this time. I know you live some miles out of town, but I hope it's not too far a walk for you. You could never find a walk too far for Atia, Sapphira said warmly. That's what I'd hoped to hear. Houghton beamed. We had 2 other girls who were hovering about the place, hoping for work. Good girls, but not the peppy sort like Atia. We'll want you here 7 days a week, from 10 o'clock to 6, and we'll pay a good wage of 40 aries a week. Atia tried not to let her eyes bulge. 40? Houghton beamed again as he pulled a sheet of paper from his desk drawer. Not too much for a girl who's willing to walk back and forth for us. Of course, if you get tired of the walk, we can always bunk you here, but rooms come at a price. Generosity collides with necessity, even in Gestal. I can walk, Atia assured him. Sign here, then. He slid the paper over and handed her a pen. Atia scratched her name on the bottom of the contract. Wonderful. He stashed the paper away and stood. Welcome to the staff, Atia Morren. Now, if you'll follow me, I'll walk you through your duties. I'll see you later, then, Sapphira said. Good day, Miss Morren, Houghton called as Sapphira left the room. Turning back to Atia, he pointed to the door through which Sapphira had disappeared. Let's get started. Sapphira felt increasingly satisfied as she walked home alone. She had been racking her brain for weeks over what to do with Atia, wondering what could possibly lift her from her melancholy, until Master Houghton's letter had arrived, giving Sapphira the chance she had been looking for. It concerned her that Atia had become so dismal. Atia had always been the last of them to give in to anything. It was in her nature to be feisty, to never give up. But over the last few months, she had taken a depressing plunge from her normal vivacity to sluggish irritability. Well, no wonder. Snappish to those who spoke to her and unnaturally hostile to company. A change of routine and scenery would do her good. Pausing in her tracks, Sapphira took time to admire the wares of a street-side florist, particularly taken with a bouquet of roses, tastefully arranged with sprigs of lavender. As Sapphira bent down to smell them, a deep, unfamiliar voice beside her said, Lovely, aren't they? Sapphira whirled and found herself facing a stranger. He had a dark beard, shoulder-length brown hair, and hazel-colored eyes. I had forgotten about that. He couldn't be from the basin. His jerkin was embroidered with a red peacock, and he carried a sword. Sapphira blushed. Roses are always pretty, sir. You live in Gestal? The stranger asked. Sapphira nodded. Are you looking for the inn? As a matter of fact, I am. The name's Darrin Swinsvord. Sapphira Morren, came the reply. The Old Wood is the only lodging you'll find in Gestal. It's on the southern side of the town square with a sign. Morren. Darrin raised an eyebrow, and his expression sobered. I take it, then, that you are the daughter of the late Gerald Morren? I am. Did you know him? No, he replied simply, and produced a large letter from his satchel. Lord Pathros sends his greetings. Lord Pathros? Sapphira knew she had heard the name before. The letter was sealed with a large blob of wax, and on the front was her father's name, written in elegant script. Sapphira moved to open it, but then stopped and looked at Darrin. Thank you. If you don't mind, I'd like to read it at home. Darrin bowed formally. As you wish. I shall be at the inn. Good day, Sapphira said, and then continued on her way. When she was far enough to be out of sight, she paused to open the letter, curiosity taking the better of her. It read, To the daughters of Mr. Gerald Morren, greetings from the noble Lord Pathros. I am writing to inform you that a certain loan owed to me by your father has not yet been paid in full. You are hereby summoned to appear at my estate in Fatherland within 4 weeks, else I will have no choice but to confiscate your lands and your possessions. Sincerely, Lord Pathros. Sapphira felt like she had been struck in the chest. Over and over, she scanned the words, trying to wrap her head around the preposterous message. Confiscate the farm? How could he do that? She remembered now who he was. There had been a little to do with a distant lord and the Morren family, sprouting from a scandal created by Elise's reckless father, who had, without the consent or knowledge of his brother, mortgaged the entire farm to Lord Pathros to escape his debts. Jarrow had been furious, but there was little he could do. Elise's father had forged Jarrow's signature, and Pathros wasn't interested in details. He only wanted his money. At first, Jarrow had sought to clear things up properly, but in the end, it was easier to pay the debt off himself. And he did pay it off, Sapphira thought, folding the paper and resuming her walk. He paid off every last Airy. Airy or Ari, to be honest. I actually don't know how. Anyway, we're going to call him Aries. What is Lord Pathros talking about? It didn't make sense, but Sapphira had no idea how she could convince Lord Pathros of his mistake. Upon the death of her parents, Sapphira had gone over all her father's records so that she could better manage the household. She had read everything concerning the affair with her uncle, and it explicitly stated that the debt had been paid in full. I'll have to talk to Darrin about it, she decided. I'll give him the papers, and then he'll see. Satisfied that she had found an answer, Sapphira was now eager to put it into practice. Upon reaching the house, she went immediately to her parents' bedchamber, kept in perfect order by their devoted daughters. A sad longing filled her heart as she sat down at her father's desk, and a lump into her throat as she thumbed through the papers inside. When at last she found the documents she was searching for, she slipped them into a bag, slung the strap over her shoulder, and then headed for the inn, determined to have the matter closed as soon as possible. Atia was nowhere in sight when Sapphira reached the old wood. Darrin was sitting at a table, munching on a loaf of bread and some chicken. He didn't look surprised to see her there. Patting his mouth with a napkin, he invited her to sit down. You read the letter, Darrin assumed. Sapphira nodded. I did, and I would like you to know that my father settled the dispute long ago. The debt has been paid, giving Lord Pathros no claim whatsoever to our farm. Lord Pathros believes otherwise, Darrin said frankly. He has discovered an unresolved aspect, one that was overlooked. It is a small debt, I believe, but he wishes to settle it immediately. He didn't say a word about the amount. Sapphira's tone was flat. No? Darrin raised an eyebrow. Not a thing. Tell me, how do you expect me to answer this summons without knowing how much money to bring? Frowning, Darrin thought for a moment, giving Sapphira time to add, I recognize his seal from my father's records. However, without a set amount, I'm afraid I cannot pay him. Lord Pathros is not a kind man, Darrin stated. He says so himself. He will not let this matter pass easily. But he must give the amount, Sapphira argued. Nevertheless, she asked, how much is a small debt to Lord Pathros? Darrin shrugged. 100 Aries. 200. I will bring 300, Sapphira said. Darrin shrugged again. Better safe than sorry, I suppose. Suddenly, realizing that she would be leaving, Sapphira hesitated. Assuming then that I am now going with you, how soon must we leave? Where exactly does Lord Pathros live again? In Farderlawn. And as for leaving as soon as possible, tomorrow if you can manage it. Tomorrow? Sapphira cried, aghast. So suddenly? Why tarry? Darrin countered. You have sisters, no? Surely they can manage the farm for a few weeks on their own. What do you raise, crops or livestock? We grow herbs and food, sir, Sapphira said sourly. That can't be too difficult for them to manage, Darrin said. It's only for a few months. Months? Where is Farderlawn? On the southern edge of the region. It's a large city, almost as big as Deltaris. The journey is smooth and the road is safe, but it's still a long trip. There's a reason he gave you 4 weeks. I brought an extra horse and money for the road. You need pack very little. And I'm supposed to just pack up and leave, Sapphira exclaimed. Is there no way to avoid this? Can't you take the money back to him? Darrin shook his head. You'll lose your home if you try. I can't do it. Pathros summoned you, not me. When an upper houseman summons you, you go. Sapphira deliberated once again, and then sighed. Very well. Can we wait at least until the day after tomorrow, then? Darrin nodded. That will be all right, but no later. Sapphira felt weak as she bid Lord Pathros' messenger goodbye. How was she to tell her sisters of this horrible mess? All right, that's the end of chapter 9. So far, okay, so I will probably just record another video and maybe get that one up either maybe later today after this one or tomorrow. Thanks for watching, as always.